Okay.
No, there's water here.
Hey, everybody. Oops. Is it on? Oh, here. It sounds like.
No, you're not.
Am I not on yet?
Did you hit
I
broadcast?
did. I hit start. Who's here? Say hello. Hi, Mark. Patricia. There's Margie from Florida. Hey. Deborah's there. Doris. Hi, Doris. There's Tabby. Robin. Here we go. It was so fun. I always like to give away something at Christmas, and I know it's like literally incorrect to say Christmas, but whatever. I say this. Oh my God! Now we're like go having funny. So I said to my team, I said, listen, I want to give these guys a free webinar, and since over 18,000 people have in less than 2 months have bought Spirit Animal, I thought let's do a special webinar for Spirit Animal. And I'm super excited. So if you don't have the deck, you can play along and go to my website. And there's a link there to try out the deck for free. So you can do a reading for yourself during the webinar from there or after the webinar. And if you have your deck, that's awesome too. But this is for everybody. This is really my gift to you guys. There's not going to be any sales for anything at the end of the webinar. So this is just for fun. We're doing something that is my gift to you. Yay! And my husband goes, "Are you gonna wear that?" And he goes, "That's perfect. That's good." You know what I forgot though? I forgot to clean my glasses. Hey, Tampa, Melbourne, Gold Coast. Look at you guys in Australia. Is it tomorrow? Is it tomorrow there? No, it's not. Usually at 7 at night. It's the next day. Flagstaff, Arizona. I used to live near you, Rosemary. There's Linda from Land Lakes, Florida. You're me. Hi. There you go. Thank you, Kim. Yes. Oh, of course. Of course. Bizou wants to come up. Mark, can you pick her up for me? And if she's pulling on my boots. Oh, webinar. Little one here wants to say hello to you. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Ojibula. You want to say hi to everybody? It's Spirit Animal. It's a spirit animal. Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, there you go. It hasn't frozen for you guys. In New Hampshire. I used to live in New Hampshire too. Yes, you want to say hi? Ojibula, you my baby? Yes. I know it hasn't really started yet. I know lots of you are just signing on wondering what the heck are already. I'm usually pretty good at just on 3, but I was sitting here, like I said. So now listen, guys, Mark's gonna load up. They said the sound is not good. Not all right there. I think only one person has it. So you might want to hang up and.
My sounds great.
Your sound is good. Okay, good. Yeah, we tested it, everything. Palm porn. We're gonna have 3 to show you. Oh, there's somebody from Denmark. She's in Japan. Cool. It'll be something for her, right? Yes. Like, boy. Oh, there you go. If you have audio, have this can worse. If you have the audio, you've got to hang up and get and come back in again.
Reconnect.
Or reconnect, or however you reconnect. So some issues. Freezing, breaking up for some people, that's your internet because ours is working. Right now, so you know something doesn't work on our end. And speak requests. We have 2 people with hands up on. Okay, back to the so leave on first. So not good now. We goes in even for sun. He sent some people. Mark, would we? He got his headphones on now. He's testing it. Screen is frozen. Screen is frozen. Okay, so God, we continue to things on our end because his and perfect. So on computer sound. So again, we need to Mercury retro might need and refresh screen. And okay, so let's get started. I wanted this is, as I said, the gift is always sung everywhere. And I thought most popular jars. I've made over that back, so you didn't have the purchase in this world. So mark the for you guys follow and chat has actually here's some more people. Keep guys. Yeah. Stand doggies. Sound is people. I don't know you guys. Well, you retrograde. So I ordered this and it moved perfect. There with those of you who are doing those sounds, if you listen, you're getting a copy anyway. Mark it up, download or where you at, Mark. With it. I shut it.
Oh, you so go on with the guy. I'm just looking at things, so it would
see this like we restart. Okay. Okay, so I download. We're going to go all follow this. Test on our minds if you're doing good. And one thing is take a look at these.
I'll let you know.
Well, let me do it.
Let's hold on. Hello, everybody.
Oh, I have a second person now. A second Colette Baron-Reid. How does that work, honey? See? What does that mean? This is Mercury retrograde.
Okay. You know what?
The sound quality is becoming worse and worse.
Okay.
They're getting off now, everybody.
No, hold on, guys. We're going to jump off our end and jump
Start
back
again.
on, okay? So bear with us while we restart.
We'll be back. Ready, Freddy? End event? No. Okay. Where's Anna? Actually, Anna, that's great. If you can talk to me on that side there and tell me what's happening. And let's find out where the chat is. Okay. It was good. Okay, so how's everything better now, guys? They were getting it better. Anna, we've got somebody else on this. Anna, can you tell me if it is working? It's better now? Okay. All good now. Great.
All right.
Yay, we did it. Woohoo! High five. High five, Mark. Come here, Mark. Got to give you the love.
It was on Dragonfly.
We got to give you the love.
It was on the wrong internet.
Okay. There we are. Oh boy, I was having conniptions. Oh my gosh. We put in so much work to make this work for you guys. Okay. High five. Now they're all here. Yes. Excellent. Okay, we're starting from scratch again. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Spirit Animal webinar. And we're doing this as a gift to you. So this is a special gift. This is at the end of this webinar. I'm not going to sell you anything. If you want to get your Oracle deck, you can. But bottom line, this is really a gift. So I wanted to give you this gift as my way of thanking you for being part of my tribe and for hanging out with me all year long. And for those of you who don't have it yet, you don't have the Spirit Animal deck yet, you can follow along because I've got a way for you to try it for free on my website. So you guys can follow along on the website. You also can use your app today, or you can use your cards. Now, Mark and I are going to try something that's very Mercury retrograde, like possibly not going to work. So he's either going to feed me your questions so that I can answer it that way, or we're going to try to get one of you guys to speak to me. So because this is Mercury retrograde, we have no idea if it's going to work or not. So let's get going with this. If you have the download, you should have a 3 pages to download that I wrote for you, so you could follow along. And you should have 3 pages, okay? Yay, 3 pages, 3 pages. Cozumel, Mexico, Iguana is staring you in your window for a listen. That's fantastic. I love it. So what I'm going to do now so that I don't get distracted by you guys is I'm going to remove the chat for me. You guys can still chat. I'm going to move this to the side. So I won't be able to see you on purpose because I'm like squirrel. So anyway, I made this document for you because I wanted to really help you get the most out of working with this particular deck. And, you know, some Oracle card decks are heady, and you're going to notice the difference. Some of them are they come across like wise old men. But this one is very heart-centered. And the reason is because it relates to nature. And we are part of nature. And so when I first learned about spirit animals, for those of you who don't know my background with this, because people automatically assume you're talking about indigenous traditions or Native American traditions, and that's not how I learned them at all. I learned about spirit animals from my Scottish nanny, Mrs. Kelly, who I wrote about in my book, Messages from Spirit. And she taught me all about the fact that there was a large spirit or large soul that governs all the little, like one big soul for all the little ants, one big soul for all the skunks, one big soul for all the dragonflies. And that was a symbol, like that in other words, that it's not like the individual animal that we're connecting with, it's what they represent in this beautiful, coherent ball of nature. So each and every living sentient being, from an insect, from an earthworm, all the way up to an eagle, all have a specific relationship, a coherent relationship, which means it's harmonic, it's resonant, it's connected in a way that's perfectly in tune with each other. Like nature works perfectly, and it works in cycles. And so when we feel that, and we know that when we go out into nature, we feel that connection, and it's something that's not logical. It's not something that is intellectual. We feel it at the level of our heart. Now, our society has become more and more urbanized. So most of us have lost the natural affinity to understand immediately the connections to the symbolism that is inherent in all of nature. So nature actually acts as a giant, big, fat oracle, so a big one. So it was very difficult when I created this oracle card deck to decide on the animals. They had to really talk to me. The second teacher that I had was my dad. My father was Serbian, and he learned all about spirit animals from whoever I think his grandmother taught him how to read Turkish coffee cups, like coffee grinds. So my dad taught me all about that, again, the oversoul of the spirit animal as they show up as a symbol in the language of divination in a cup. That's called tasseomancy. Again, I wrote about that in Messages from Spirit. So we are looking at a language that these animals, these spirit animals, represent in total. Now, I could create 3 different decks. Like I didn't have enough room for more animals, so I had to kind of whittle them down to the animals that made sense in the lexicon. So I think I want to teach you a little bit about that too. For those of you who are my Oracle school students, you know about this already, but for those of you who are new, all Oracle systems are based on something called a lexicon, which is, in other words, it's a language that locks in and works together. So all the words work together. And so the way a deck is created, and when you channel decks, like I channel my decks, so they have to feel like they lock. Like I have to keep testing them, and you'll see or you should see how many card decks I have at home with stickers on them with different animal names or goddess names. Every time I make a new deck, I have to test them until they actually work, until they go, yes, I am a language. So this particular deck has the exact amount of spirit animals or animal spirits that create this symbolic language that has a purpose, right? So the purpose, so every time you go to an oracle, the oracle has a purpose to serve you. So each one of these specific spirit animals in this specific deck, my husband has some noises over there. Anyway, in this specific deck, any reason why? Is that people talking? All right. Okay. You see, I get very distracted very easily, right? Anyway, so all of the animals in this deck mean something, and they mean something to you. So when you open up this spirit animal deck, the specific animals in this deck want to talk with you. They're there because their purpose is to help you stay in that coherent alignment when everything works harmoniously. When you want to, or when you have an intention to evolve, to do better, to become the best version of yourself, to understand yourself better. Because if you know anything about oracles, at the temple at Delphi, that big saying above, it was carved in the top of the temple of Delphi, was know thyself. So the more we know the vehicle through which the universe speaks, which is we are the vehicle through which the universe speaks. We are that vehicle. Thanks, Anna. We are the ones that actually represent the universe. We're also the ones that have that ego. So it'll either ease God's order and make it easy for us to tune in and allow when we work with an oracle, or it edges God out when we become our wounded self. So the purpose of the spirit animal oracle is to help you see when you are out of alignment and how to get yourself back into alignment. And when you're in alignment, how to continue to evolve, how to get to know yourself even better as an important individual within, like you're the perfect note in the harmony of the universe. That's basically what we're looking at, because you are unique, you are special. You are that person who is contributing to the whole all the time, whether you know it or not. So this particular deck was created by me with that purpose in mind. And the spirit animals that are in the deck are there to help you do that. I hope that makes sense to you. So I'm just gonna check the chat for a second, see if anybody says, Schnoodle jumped in your lap. That's great. Love that. Crows are telling you to co-create with spirit. Exactly. What do crows mean? Okay. So I don't know how to stop the chat while I'm teaching. I don't know if that's possible, but I will talk to Chris when you ask about what crows mean. So let's talk about what happens now when animals in the outer world show up consistently for you, because there is a relationship to your outer environment and working with a spirit animal deck. So when you actually get to know the deck, and the guidebook in the deck, you'll get to know your environment much better. And that's actually written about on the PDF here, where you can actually recognize some of the things that you've learned by working with the actual oracle start to really wake up in your outer environment. And that changes too. For example, you might have an affinity towards one particular animal. Like I had an affinity to raven, and I still do. Raven was so important to me. So important to me. Oopsie. I'm getting texted on my iPad by Anna, who's letting me know that you guys can hear me now. Thank you, Anna. So we end up having this connection, myself with ravens. You might have them with other birds or whatever. Some people have it with hawks. Some people have it with parrots. I don't know. It's very, very personal when there's an animal that shows up in your life consistently, therefore creating an affinity with you. They choose you when it's in the outer world. So then for me, dragonflies started showing up in my world all the time. I didn't pick that. Now I did when I was a little kid too, but for years I never even thought about a dragonfly. And then I wrote about this in my book Uncharted, when dragonflies started to choose me again, and they were so freaking consistent. It's like, I know when a dragonfly shows up, it's like, okay, I have to pay attention. So in this way, because most of us don't live in that kind of environment that we did when we were first here on this planet, where nature was part of our language. So we have to start to pay attention. So for example, when eagles show up for you, somebody said when you keep seeing eagles, and then you'll go, okay, that's really reminding me about my spiritual path. Or if you see hawks, oh, that's a message from spirit. I can expect a phone call, or geez, maybe there's going to be an email, or I got to really pay attention to my communication about spirit. Then geese, I love that, Maria. So geese are all about trusting the abundance in the universe, because the goose, it's the golden goose, lays all the eggs, right? Spiders, thanks, Brenda. You keep telling me your thing. Spiders are all about creativity. You know, the spider creates a web, and that web connects, it's connection and creativity. So you start to see the magic in the language of the animals themselves when they show up for you. Like, I never will kill a spider. Actually, I will never kill any animal, but I'll always take them outside, although they freak me out at first, but I'll go, okay, little spider, out you go. So spiders are something for people who are writers. Frogs, that's great, Debbie. So frogs are all about clearing the clutter. Frogs are reminding us. Oh, now everybody's writing it. So, okay. Cats. Oh, wow. You're asking too many of them. I don't know how to close this. Oh, okay. But you know what? I'm going to go through this because why not? Because this is, by the way, all the things that you're asking about are in the deck. Horses are all about, if you think about the purpose of the animals in nature. Now, horses were one of the first domesticated animals. So horses carry man, or women. They carry us. They are there to carry us and give us help. So when a horse comes in, but horses are also represented freedom. So a horse, like running, is about freedom. So it reminds us to accept help, but also to choose our freedom. Whale spirits are all about that mystery, that deep mystery of life. And so is bobcat spirit, but it's different. It's really trusting that. Also, it's the record keeper. It remembers absolutely everything in the whole world that's ever shown up. Flamingo is all about being able to balance, right? So flamingos sleep on one leg, and they also show, because they go from that, the color is very white and cream, and it goes to that orangey pink. So it's about being between worlds as well. So it has that ombre color. Butterflies are all about that. Think about it, right? It's metamorphosis, that when you notice a butterfly. So this language was set in motion, not by me, certainly not by me, not by my Mrs. Kelly, and not by my dad, and not even by any, it's a common universal language that cultures from around the world agree on. And then it gets a little specific, right? So elephants are all about memory and learning from the past, right? Dolphins are about playful quality, but here's the deal. Let me teach with the actual deck, because I could spend an hour to tell you about what animals mean. And so what I'd like to do is to show you how the deck works, right? So, and when you think about it, just so you know too, so I'm going to ask you not to keep asking me questions about the animals. Let's, after Barbara, who asked about an egret, and Carolyn, no more after Carolyn, okay? So Carolyn asked about dogs. I have dogs. So let's look at the common animals that are in this deck. So dogs are about loyalty. So we know dogs are domesticated animals. They're pack animals. They become family members. And so the sense of being connected to dog spirit doesn't mean you love dogs. It means that the concept of loyalty and connection and family shows up for you through the symbolism of dog. Now, when you look at grasshoppers, that's a great one, Carol. So grasshoppers, they showed up for me like crazy this summer. Grasshoppers cannot jump backwards. And that's one of the reasons why the kangaroo lost being in my deck, because both kangaroos and grasshoppers have similar traits, believe it or not. So I was trying to get animals from every continent in this deck, but again, it's not an intellectual experience, it's who chooses it, who speaks best with everybody else. So a grasshopper can only leap forward. So when the grasshopper shows up, it tells you that leap, you are leaping forward, that it's forward movement, that you're moving, you're moving to another level of experience, and to get ready for that. And hummingbirds, look at how hummingbirds wander around and always get the nectar, and they're timeless. They stay in the now. They are the most present moment birds possible. They move so fast, but they go like this. And they're right there like that. And they're also tough as nails, those little buggers. Like I actually had to take all my hummingbird feeders down when I was living in Sedona, because they would fight each other for the food. And I was like, you nasty things. But I love them. So when they're in the wild, they actually know where the honey is. So we instead of putting feeders out, we now put out the actual flowers that they like. So now we allow nature to work itself, as opposed to doing the unnatural thing, which is to feed, right? So instead, we put out the possibility of something that's beautiful. So let's take a look at your paper, okay, you guys? And I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am, because I'm totally loving talking about this. So when working with the spirit animal, you're actually calling in a spiritual connection. You want to have an encounter with the symbolic representation of the oversoul. So you are actually asking for this mystical encounter. And so when you start to ask for a mystical encounter with a spirit animal, it is very likely not just working with the deck, that working with the deck will open you up to a greater connection to your environment, right? So your connection opens from the heart. Remember that. It's not intellectual. So this is where we can all get into a little bit of trouble working with oracle cards, because you want an answer that has some level of intellectual certainty. But with this deck, you need the certainty needs to land. You need to be able to feel into it or lean into that, as opposed to using your head to figure it out. So that's also something that you're going to notice that is very different with working with this particular oracle that I created and some of my other oracles. Some of the other ones are a little bit more heady. This one is very heart. It's very grounded in nature, right? Okay. So when a spirit animal shows up, it's resonant with you and it's matching your energy, whether it's conscious or not. Now, in the outer world, sometimes a hawk is just a hawk, right? Like sometimes it's just the way it is, right? There's nothing, like it's just a hawk, but it's unlikely it's just a hawk if you never see hawks, right? My friend saw a hawk every single day on her way to work. She had never seen hawks before. And in fact, she was getting some very amazing and important communication with somebody that came back into her life. So this was such a key piece for her to call me and say, oh my God, there's this hawk that keeps following me. And I said, come on. And it's like, yes. And so she'd like, there's the hawk over there. And she took pictures and sent them to me. And I went, oh, wow. So let's match this. So you want to match what you're resonating with the experience you're having in your day-to-day life. That's the purpose of it. Sometimes a rock is just a rock is just a rock, but sometimes it means something more. And most of the time it means something more. If you are seeing yourself as an inherent connector to this conscious universe in which these animals also reside, right? So that's really important to know that. Oh yeah, Renee, Carol, grasshoppers can fly. And I thought they were butterflies. What did I know, right? Anyway, okay, so the job of a spirit animal, what is its job? Like, what's the point? We can't, Mark, can we send them this by email? Some people can't download it.
It's right there on the side.
Maybe on their phone.
On the 3 little dots, it should open up.
If you press on the 3 little dots on your screen, the download should open up for you guys. I know Lee's asked about that, but
If you're on a phone, then.
If you're on a phone, you can't download the PDF. So I'm sorry. You'll have to, once we send out the email with the recording, then you can download the PDF. But it doesn't matter. I'm reading it through. I'm going through every single point with each one of you. So it's all good. So what is the spirit animal's job when it shows up? Well, it shows you a reflection of yourself. And it's a means by which you can move into your own evolution, your intentional reality, and show you if you're off track and how to get back on track. One of the most interesting pieces, so I know that's later in I think on page 2, I talk about what the 2 cards were that chose themselves on behalf of all of you. I said, like, who can help me teach this webinar today? And what do they need to be mostly reminded of? So Bobcat Spirit, I should actually, Mark, do you have Bobcat Spirit? Can you put it up on the page?
I'll try.
Okay, try Bobcat Spirit and Moth Spirit. Okay, Bobcat and Moth. All right, so Bobcat Spirit says life is a mystery, and human beings crave certainty above all else. And when we approach an oracle, typically we want an answer, like what's going to happen? Wrong question, but that can happen, right? You go there and you go like, I need to know blah, blah, blah. So what if what it's trying to say to you is that you can't have 100% certainty, but the certainty that comes from the heart is when you step into the mystery that you acknowledge is mysterious, and it doesn't work on the same principles as logic and intellect. So when you step into oh, there it is. Thank you, honey. You did it. Oh, yay, Mark. High five for Mark. So Bobcat Spirit is number 8, right? So you will want to look it up in the guidebook and read it. And now it's in the upright position. So you want to know, okay, this is the spirit that's guiding today's webinar for us, right? This spirit, life is a mystery. So when we work with oracles, we are entering into a mystery that does not have a logical, see, it's perfect.
Oh.
It looks good, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can they see it? Ask them if they can see it.
Can you guys see the Bobcat Spirit?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, they can, Colette.
Okay, great.
Just came up on my screen.
Awesome. I've got Anna up on this side. Anna's here.
Yeah, let's
Headmistress.
just go on, Colette.
Okay.
We've got it.
Okay, great. I just have to go at my own pace here. Fantastic. Now all the animals are showing up. Shelly's cat just showed up. Isn't that a gorgeous card? So the Bobcat reminds us all that when we step into the intuitive arts, we all have to put our certainty to the side, or our need for certainty to the side. And it's a different type of certainty that we're looking for. We want to know that we are in this alignment with this world that is different than our logical world. It works on different laws, different principles, that it shows up for us illogically. So we have to accept that that's okay, and that our answer may not come immediately. It will, maybe the answer makes us ask a deeper question. Right? So that's it. So 1 + 1 is not always going to equal 2. Sometimes it's equaling 11, right? So we have to know that there's different rules in that world, in the intuitive world. Now, Moth Spirit, if you could grab that one, Mark. I don't know if you can put that up.
What number is Moth Spirit?
I don't know. I created this deck, but we did it alphabetically because we have 39. Yeah, so Moth Spirit. Now, Moth Spirit was interesting because it came up in protection, and I thought, oh, that's really, really good, because it also reminds us not to get attached to outcomes. So, and that almost sounds counterintuitive, because reason we go to an oracle is to get answers or to get guidance. But a lot of times we get obsessive about the answer, and when it doesn't provide us what we want, then sometimes what happens is we get mad at our oracles, or we put the cards back, or we don't engage it in the way that is heart-based, gratitude-driven, and open, right? So we want to get open. The heart is an open quality. So Moth Spirit tells us that, and addiction, by the way, is a relative of Moth Spirit. It's a relative way because moths work at night. They're nocturnal. And they are part of metamorphosis, right? Because they do the same cocooning, et cetera, as a butterfly. So Mark has a nice voice, they said. So Moth Spirit represents our need to escape. The concept of escapism when we are unwilling to face our shadow, or when we get too attached to something. So again, working with Spirit Animal Oracle, we have to be reminded that we step into the mystery. We're in a mystical zone now, totally different than seeing things for face value. Then also Moth Spirit says we have to surrender. We have to surrender our attachment to the way we think things should be. Because sometimes we're going to be taken into a detour by a spirit animal in order to clean something up. So we actually pull those cards and they reflect where we're at. And because it's always about getting into coherence and into alignment, we sometimes get taken on a bit of a detour to go learn the things that we didn't learn the first time in order for us to get to the next phase of where we want to go, right? So that is how this particular spirit animal deck goes. So actually, I'm going to choose one card right now. So how do we use this as a meditation tool? Okay, so let's talk about that, because you guys are going to have the PDF and there's more things for you to think about on there. So this deck isn't just used for divination. And for those of you who are new and you don't know what divination means moving out of the five sensory reality, like that 3D world, in order to access information from the invisible, from the mystery, the mystical world, in order to make sense of our practical world, right? So we want to go out there to come back here. So I'm going to choose a card and show you an example of how we would use this as a meditation tool. Okay, that was kind of cool. Elephant spirit. Oh, actually, Mark, can you put up 25? I was going to like put it right up to the camera. So let's talk about elephant spirit a little bit, and I can teach you how you would use this as a meditation tool. So elephant spirit, I'm going to read it for you. So it's learn from the past. And it's interesting because if we don't learn from the past, remember before I said sometimes the cards will take you back to a lesson because you hadn't learned it yet. Number 25, are we putting it up there, Mark? So I'm going to read you what this means, and I'm going to show you how you would meditate with it. So the oracle message is this. Although we often wish we could leave the past behind, elephant spirit reminds us that memory matters. And by the way, we are memory-based creatures. We are made from memory, all of us. We must respect the wisdom of the elders who hand down to us traditions they have shaped to express our connection to each other and respect for the community. So everything is built on memory, and the ancient ones, or the wisdom is passed down, right? We must never forget our legacy of strength and dignity. Elephant spirit appears with the message that we are to acknowledge that which came before and learn from it. All of us are memory-based creatures, and we must revisit the past to understand where we are and where we are going. The stories of events you experience, the stories in our collective memory, and the stories of relationships you have had can be told many ways. What story will you tell? Elephant spirit is here to encourage you to make it one that stirs in you a sense of power and dignity, for you have honored yourself by choosing to learn from your past. Spirit rejoices at your willingness to learn and grow. So I'm going to suggest that you take a look at this, and we're going to do a little meditation right now. Okay, so we are going to go into elephant spirit. I'm going to take a deep, deep breath, and we're going to imagine that memory is a pool in front of us. It's a beautiful pool of water, of sparkling water. And everything that you have ever learned, every memory that has ever existed since the beginning of time, exists in this beautiful pool of water. And taking a deep breath, you're going to see two things in the water that bubble up. On the left, you're going to see something that keeps repeating for you that you know you don't want. And it's going to be represented in a kind of a bubbling object. It doesn't matter what it is, whatever it is for you, that's fine, because it's going to represent that. The thing you don't want to keep doing over and over again, but you do anyway. And on the right, you're going to see its healed version. You're going to see an object that relates to that other one, told in a different way, shown in a different way. You might see a broken cup on the left that you can't place your lips on without hurting your lip. And then you see one that is pieced together with veins of gold. Which one would you choose? Likely you would choose the one on the right. So the idea is not to deny the one on the left, not to deny the pain, not to deny the object or the representation, the symbol of that which keeps coming up for you. It's to see that it could be healed. You have to recognize its potential. What could this look like if it was different? It's interesting that I immediately saw a broken cup, because in a cup, the cup you either can look at a cup as half empty or half full, or everything is the same. The cup is both half empty and full, even if it is slightly broken. It is always exactly as it needs to be. So rather than looking at something, and I use the language broken, that isn't even broken, it just is what it is. It is exactly as it is. But what if we wanted it to shift into something that serves us in a way that doesn't hurt us, right? So that's kind of the deeper message of elephant spirit. We recognize that which is laid before us, the things that have wounded us in the past, for example, and we see what it could be like if that wound was different. So Kathy, if you saw a lightning bolt, which is the shock, right, and then a healed heart, well, that makes perfect sense. Lightning bolts mean shock and healed heart, right? Now, you guys can look up those things on the internet because we want to really focus on, and you can have a heyday going on the net and taking a look at meaning of, like you could say spiritual meaning of lightning bolt, spiritual meaning of healed heart, and you'll really get the sense. So this is just kind of different ways that you could work with a card if it comes up for you, and spend a little time writing about that card and say, if I were to meditate on what this card means to me, what would that look like? So you can always, always, always have one side of which was the past, because all of us have stuff and all of us have stories and narratives that we tell that are here, and all of us can tell new stories. And I believe that working with divination tools, especially spirit animal, can offer us the opportunity to heal that which was not in coherence with harmony, right? So that was disharmonious, because we'll see through the lens of disharmony and we'll keep seeing that, when in fact, nature is harmonious. It is harmonious, right? Makes perfect sense. Exactly. I'm glad you said that. So what is else? I could, like, Mark is looking at me like, don't go over 2 hours. Okay, so let's keep going. So that's one way you can use it as a meditation tool. Now, the more you use it, the more you operate a muscle. So if you look at intuition as a muscle that is atrophied, that has basically not been used, you're going to the intuition gym. Only you're also opening up your heart, because we have an inherent heart connection to nature and to animals. And so the more you use the spirit animal deck, the greater your heart becomes. The more your heart expands to bring into the heart awareness, the compassionate awareness, the connection that you have with others, as opposed to the ones that are a little bit more intellectual, right? So Anisha, you can use the cards in your healing practice. And again, thoughts, you can always use like one card to say, like, what is the nature of this person's healing? Because these cards will always show, remember, because healing is all about coherence. So healing is to bring a person from imbalance into balance. So one card, and I'm a big one card person, even though I used to do card readings with 21 card spreads, but seriously, you only need the one to open up the portal for a conversation, especially if you haven't certified in a process or whatever. And we'll be teaching more of that at Oracle School over the time, and we'll be making more courses. But, you know, and also the other piece of here is to remember that when you work with it, you don't have to have a vision in your head. It will just come like a thought, like an instant idea. And the idea will not feel like it came from your head. It will rise up from the heart. So it arises up within you. So I just wanted to mention that, actually, from Chris, that she mentioned, you know, something that comes as a thought, even just a knowing. Remember that intuition works differently for everybody. Most people have what's called claircognizance, and that really works when you work with spirit animal. You just know, right? It just goes boof. Right. And you just feel it in your body as the truth. It's like, oh, wow, that's so special. And it feels sacred because you are dealing with a sacred system where it is all about what we have lost. It's a language that is natural to us that we have lost. So let's keep going on the document. Mark, do you have anything you want? You keep looking at me. I know you want to say something. I can tell.
No, I'm just saying, once you get into the document, if you want to bring someone,
I would love to try bring somebody up. So here's what I'd love to do is to try to use some of you guys. We might go over the hour, actually. I'm hoping I can bring some of you up to work with me.
So ask to speak.
So if you can ask to speak, There's 11 people that have asked to speak already, Mark. So there's speak requests, and what I want to do is bring you up.
I'm gonna get all these guys off because they might have asked different speak. What do you want to use it for, Colin?
Okay, I'm gonna do a reading with some of you to teach. So I like to teach practically with having one of you talk to me. So I'm gonna invite some of you up now, and hopefully.
Oh, a whole bunch of people just came up.
Woo! I love it.
Awesome.
Okay, so let's get after 11, so people can
pick a number from 1 to 30. Pick a card. There's
I see.
People.
You know what? Are there 68 people and there's 68 cards? Okay,
Yeah.
good. So I'm gonna pick caller number 54.
No, we're not at 54 actually yet.
Here we go. Here's 54. 54 is right there.
Where?
There's 54.
54 just came in. Okay.
Okay, so the 54th person is the one that we're going to bring up.
That is going to be.
And then I want number 11.
Trish. I think it's 54.
Okay, let's see.
So this is what happens. We're going to accept them.
We're going to accept you. Okay, Mark.
Now they have to look on their side panel.
Look on your side panel.
And it's going to give them instructions.
It's going to give you can you talk to them?
No, I'm telling them right now. They can hear.
Can they hear you? Okay.
Yeah. And they'll get instructions to log in.
You're going to get instructions how to log in.
We'll see them.
And let's cross our fingers. So I'm going to get a few people up. So we'll probably go for another half an hour. It's a little longer than I expected, but we had a bit of boo-boos at the beginning. So let's check it out and let's cross our fingers that I can get you on with me. This webinar jam's different than Zoom. So let's see. So let me tell you about card 54, which is all about knowing your worth. So the idea of worthiness comes up. So let's see if that makes sense to our 54th caller and see how this engages. And then we can ask a question. I'm going to show you how the cards can answer your question also. Are we getting them on?
No, they'll get themselves.
Oh, they're going to get themselves on. I'm going to teach. Okay, fine. So let's go back to the document and then we'll see if that.
It's Trish Nichols.
Oh, Trish Nichols?
Oh, is she the one?
Is it?
Yeah.
Trish Nichols is in Oracle School. We know Trish Nichols.
Tell her to jump on.
Jump on, Trish. Jump on, Trish.
Okay, but.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep talking. Okay, so now let's talk about spirit animal affinity. So you can have an affinity with a spirit animal for a certain period of time. You can call in now, what is affinity? Affinity means that they are there. They're your special guide. It's like a new spirit guide for you. An animal is going to choose you to look after you for a period of time and be your guide. And if you continue to use the same card, the same guidebook, looking at that, writing notes, journaling on every new moon, you choose one spirit animal, and we can work with that spirit animal for a period of 2 weeks, right? Because the new moon cycle is a 2-week cycle. And then on the full moon, you choose a second spirit animal, and that spirit animal has 2 purposes. One, to illuminate the shadow if there's anything that needs to be illuminated to get rid of, because it's a dumping time, the full moon. But it's also that last minute, that really last moment in time that you can triple activate the intention that you set with the original spirit animal and the new moon. Okay, guys? So does that make sense to everybody? So let me just see what's happening here.
Nothing, I can't get it to work.
You can't get it to work? Ah!
Just keep going.
Come on, I know you can. I believe it.
I'm going to try.
My husband's going to try. Okay. Lucky Trish. Okay, and it's Trish's birthday.
Okay.
So Trish, why don't you, in the chat, Trish, I want you to put, I know it's Trish's birthday. That's crazy. Can you put in the chat your question? And since, just in case I can't get you up on the video, we're going to engage this way so that we can talk to you guys. And then we can teach through your question for everybody. So happy birthday, Trish. And I'm going to do a reading for you. So the kind of question I want you to ask is, Oh, my husband figured it out. Okay.
Look for an email.
Look for an email, apparently, Trish. Okay. So, all right. So Barbara just love using the moon cycle with spirit animals. So we're just going to wait for Trish to come on, and I'm going to talk about the moon cycles a little bit more. So before we had modern society, we actually worked with the lunar calendar. We did not operate our world with the calendar that we have now. What we did was we looked to each cycle of the moon to teach us about how the natural cycle works for us. We learned when we were going to put the seeds in the ground. We learned when it was time to put the animals away. We, for the winter, we knew how to harvest based on lunar cycles. We knew, even we could tell using divinatory principles by looking at nature. And we talk about the way birds operated in the sky, because augury, that's the name, and this is related to that too. It's that a divinatory practice where you watch birds and their movement to determine the way something is going to evolve. So that was something that was natural for people way back when. And looking at all the animals and their behavior to also tell us during that lunar cycle what was going on. So that's why working with the spirit animal oracle and lunar cycles are a really, really great way to get the most power from the deck itself. So choosing it every 2 weeks and writing in your journal, like, this is my intention. Who will serve me for my intention? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one of you. What, Mark?
Oh, no, it's okay.
We almost got Trish up.
Well, she has to check her email.
Trish, you have to check your email. Trish Nichols, you have to check your email. And you have to click on the email. Is that right, Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah, Webinar Jam is kind of a weird thing. So we just sent you an email, and it is your birthday, so we may as well get you to come up.
And I'm also putting a Sylvie.
And a Sylvie also is going to come. My husband also found a Sylvie who put her hand up. So
check her email.
So you guys, Sylvie and Trish, go to your email and check it. So I can.
Tessa.
And Tessa. That's it. So just these 3 for now, so I can teach through you guys on video. So let's go back to this for everybody. So that's why the lunar cycles are important. And the interesting thing too is that they work off a feminine principle. That's the other thing. So what I learned a lot about when I was researching my goddess deck, which, to be honest with you, I had a lot of resistance to do originally because anyway, it doesn't really matter why, but I had so much grief when I knew why I resisted it after the fact, because I really did feel called and felt unworthy, etc. But I learned a lot about the goddess culture and how lunar cycles also connected to the cycles of feminine, all right, the feminine menstrual cycle and also just period cycles of birth and death and decay, etc. And how we've really lost that in our culture and our society. So this is another way for you guys to get back into alignment with that, and also the divine feminine. It kind of just happens naturally. So don't forget to look at your emails, you guys. Okay, so let's go to the page 2. So we say ways to ask spirit animals for guidance. So that's one way, the affinity of the animal for the cycle of the moon. Now, when do you call in a special guide for challenging circumstances? So when you're noticing your past patterns are being triggered and you can't get out of them intellectually, you know what that's like, right? You say, well, I shouldn't be feeling like this, or don't feel like this. Like, yes, Brandon, it's coming out in February. So, you try to talk yourself out of feeling afraid or challenged, or, why did I do that again? What's this going on? And you just get into this hairball and you can't get out of it. So the best thing to do is to choose. It chooses you. So you end up choosing a spirit animal for guidance. I'm going to ask this spirit animal deck in general, what do we all need to know? Every one of us need to know when we get into that hairball of getting stuck in a past pattern, like the elephant spirit brought us into the past, and we can't really get out of it through being told not to, and why do we feel like that? And we try to figure it all out, which is the worst thing we could do. So what spirit animal guides all of us for this? So I'm going to pick this. And it is the cat spirit. It's about independence. So I love this. So cat spirit, Mark, that's number 13. If you could put up our cat spirit while we're waiting for Trish and Sylvie to open up their emails. So cat spirit is all about being independent. And independence is about being yourself, because typically we get into those hairball moments about other people. They're never about just a circumstance. It's unlikely. It's always about the codependency with other people, where we get into sticky situations when we want to blame other people, or we project onto other people, or we want to be right and them wrong. We're not getting what we want. Our needs are not getting met, blah, 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 blah. And cats, well, how do we figure out cat spirit about independence? Because of the way they behave. They're basically F you, right? They'll come over. They're independent of us. They are not codependent creatures. Like I always think I need to go to what is it, Papillon or, Pup Anonymous or whatever, because you can get really codependent with a dog, right? But it's different with cats. They have this dignity about them and they're like, hey, I'm me, you're you over there. And that really is a fantastic step into that stepping out of the hairball, because it's never about the other person or the situation external. It's about me. And so we say, be objective, step out of that. You get into the observer, because cats are very observant. That's what they do all day long. They sit and watch. So you get less personal. So that's the other thing, right? Cats are less personal, although I love cats and my... What?
Someone said dogs have owners, cats have a staff.
Colleen, dogs have owners, cats have a staff. Oh my God, that's too funny. Yes, they can be a tad codependent. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to get it 100% right, but that's what we learned about cats. If we could be more like the cat, we're less likely gonna glom onto somebody else to make them give us our needs, or even the universe. I've been reading this amazing book by Kiddist Ohm. I had her on my Hay House radio show, and she talked all about that, the sense of that the universe is always providing for us. It's us actually calling it in, but it's already existing, and it's not like it has to give it to us. We have to claim it. It exists already. So if we want things to be different, we can't look at the thing that isn't that we don't want and say, you're not what I want. No, we have to choose something else. That's what a cat will do. Cat's going to go, meh, I don't like that. Just go over here and then start playing with a toy. So that's something that we could all learn from. Do we have another person on video yet?
No.
Oh, poop. Okay,
we'll do this on Zoom.
We're going to do, guys, we're going to do this again, spirit animal again, probably in January for the new year. I think I'd love to do that actually. And we're going to do it on Zoom so that I can get people up on camera. But right for now,
you can ask questions.
You can ask questions now on the chat. Let's get Trish a question first. Trish Nichols, where is Trish? So I'm going to actually, on your birthday, if I can't, since I've asked you a couple times and I haven't seen you text here. So I am going to, choose 2 cards for Trish. I'm going to show you how this works. So this is the spirit animal that's choosing Trish on her birthday for this year. So this is the spirit animal that is your affinity. I'm assuming I have your permission. Oh, there. What's that? There's a person.
Where?
Right here.
Who is it?
Look, I don't know. It looks like a person, but isn't one.
They're there. Yeah.
But how do I get them on? Tessa is there.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't see Tessa. I don't see your
She'll come out. She has to turn on her camera.
You have to turn on your camera and your microphone on the top there. There she is. Here she comes. Tessa.
And the microphone.
Okay, turn on your microphone. Okay,
No,
great.
We hear her.
Oh my God, this is awesome. Okay, so Tessa, may I have your permission to do a reading for you?
You better you better do her 2 cards.
Oh yeah. So you wait, because I started with Trish. Okay, so I'm going to do Trish's cards first because I said I was. All right, and then I'm going to do you. Okay, so I'm just going to. You're just going to be patient while I grab Trish's card. So this first card is the affinity for Trish. Now you can ask on your birthday, who is the spirit animal that's watching over me this year on my birthday? Now, you're not going to read the card in protection. You're always going to read that card upright, because we're asking what is the affinity of the actual spirit animal. So that spirit animal has chosen you, Trish Nichols, on your birthday today. And here we go. Sandpiper spirit. So we're not going to put the card up for you. I'm going to, can you? Okay, that's card number 51, Mark. Sandpiper spirit has chosen you. And the lesson this year, yay, I know, well done, Mark, right? Look at guys, and we tried all morning to make this work. This is so good. We've got Sandpiper Spirit, which is all about playfulness. It's about really diving into your world this year. So Trish, you're going to have fun this year. It looks to me too that when Sandpiper Spirit, which is the little clowns of the bird world, that means that there's a playful quality too that the universe is bringing to you, because it's not just you being more playful, it's bringing the sense of playfulness to you. Now, the lesson this year is divine detours. So that's for Trish Nichols on your birthday today, Trish. The Coyote Spirit is asking you to trust in divine detours. And Mark, that's number 16. Coyote Spirit is number 16. So remember that we ask the specific question and the card will tell us. The first one is the affinity. So, right, the affinity is, oh, I'm in alignment with Sandpiper Spirit. That means I'm going to have a little bit more of a playful year. Plus, my attitude needs to be more playful. Then the lesson of the year, this is for your whole birthday, and I bet you any money your astrology chart will match this. And again, you can, and then the Coyote Spirit would tell you that this is trusting in divine detours. So for example, if you think there's going to be a specific result that you're looking for, and it doesn't turn out that way, that's good. What is yours will not go past you this year, Trish. So I hope that helped. That was helpful, guys. I know everybody's saying I'm so lucky because of you. Yes, you can draw a card if your birthday has recently passed, of course. You can draw a card any day. You can actually start for today. If you start your year today, this is, let's say your birthday was in July. My birthday was in July. This was your card for this year starting today, like for the rest of your year. So you say, okay, like for the rest of 2000 until my birthday, this would be the card, right? So that's what you would do. Now, Tessa, thank you for being so patient. So would you like me to choose 2 cards for you, or would you like to ask a specific question? Because then I can teach you that.
I would like you to choose the 2 cards, please.
Perfect. So when is your birthday?
September 22nd.
Perfect. So starting today, for the rest until your next birthday on September 22nd of 2019, we're going to pick what spirit animal is chosen you. So this is the affinity card. You're in alignment with this animal, okay? And it's skunk spirit.
What number?
Oh, 54. Was she number? No, Trisha was 54. So skunk spirit means know your worth. So this is about, the subject for you this year is about worthiness. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
It does, right? And the idea that self-worth needs to help you break out of negative thinking. So it says to you, like, wait a sec, I don't need to put up with any of this BS external to me. I have worth. I am worthy of, and then you can list out whatever it is of what you are worthy for. Like sometimes it's our own self-worth. And actually, you should read Nancy Levin's book, Worthy. I think it will really help you. Because we get to a place where in our life, like I think you're starting over again. Am I correct, Tessa?
After a loss of a parent, being their primary caretaker. So just kind of
rebooting,
rediscovering
right
purpose.
So,
yes.
So, perfect. So it's the idea that you're starting again. And like once you've been like the caretaker of a parent for a long, long time, then all of a sudden that's no longer on your plate. It's like, wait a sec, because your worth was related to being a caretaker. And now you have to find some other way to acknowledge who you are this year. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now let's choose your second card. What's your lesson this year? So what spirit animal is going to help you with your lesson? And it's Nightingale Spirit. Now, Mark, that's card number 41. We're doing so good today. Oh my gosh. Okay, so card number 41 is a Nightingale Spirit. So it's all about love. Like love is all around you. And you are, I know that you lost a parent. It probably was exhausting too. But it's to remind yourself that love is everywhere for you. That there's a sense of connection to everything around you. And that sense of gratitude for breathing and being in the world. But this is also about receiving and giving love and being in that love pond. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And to
children and grandchildren. Mm-hmm.
And to revel in that. I get that you had this loss recently, but This is reminding you of the love that still remains. Make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on
Thank
the
you.
call, Tessa. Let me see if somebody else is going to jump on. Mwah! So Colleen, I love that you said, I'm an animal behavior scientist. I'm worried that my science will interfere with interpreting the cards. And so, well, don't let it. So how do we turn Tessa off?
Oh, she has
Eject
to-
presenter.
What's that?
I ejected her.
Yes.
So here's the deal. As an animal behavior scientist, you actually could do very well with these cards, because if you look at animal behavior and translate their behavior, their actual natural behavior, into symbolism, you have a leg up. So if you can play with it that way, I don't think you'll have trouble. Now, the other thing is read the guidebook. The guidebook shows the spiritual symbolism, which you can't really get just from the behavior, right? So I think that could really help you really get a better affinity. So let's see who else can come up on the camera. Tessa managed to do it. So we did Trish. So I think there's somebody else. Did you say Sylvie?
Yeah, but we haven't seen her.
Okay,
Maybe
so let's
try
pick somebody else's number.
Kimberly McGrath.
Kimberly McGrath. Kimberly McGrath, we are going to send you an email. Then you're going to click on the email. You're going to come on Webinar Jam, and you're going to do whatever the doohickey things are that they tell you to do that I can't see on my end, and we'll see if you can come up too.
Yeah,
So
you just have to test.
you have to test.
All their microphones.
Oh, you have to
and all
test
that.
a microphone. You have to go click, 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 click.
Keep hitting yes.
Keep
till you
hitting
get
yes,
on.
and next time we'll do it on Zoom. Okay, so now what I'd love to do is is to take somebody on the chat. So so Julie, I'm going to say this. You have lots of birds that show up for you daily, from sandhill cranes to mockingbirds and lots of ducks. So that's very interesting. None of those three, which by the way are my three favorite birds, made it into the deck. And I've actually been talking to Hay House about doing a complete bird deck. So because I really felt that there were so many other, and especially because I have Get On Your Bird meditation. So I am actually in talks with Hay House about expanding into a feathered wing, the Oracle of Wings. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so mockingbirds, as we know, if think about what it says, they are like parrots in the way that they speak. They have a relativity that they represent communication. Cranes. Now cranes, I don't know, cranes in the ancient Chinese tradition represent death. So they are a transformative bird. I love cranes, by the way. They're also the balanced birds. Like some flamingos, they balance on one leg, and they have the most extraordinary wingspan, which tells us they can go big distances. That means that way for you too. And then ducks, like little whack, whack, whack. Don't we love ducks, right? So ducks, remember water off a duck's back? They are emotionally resilient, right? They represent emotional resilience. So that's another reason why I want to create a more expansive deck for the spirit animal deck. And as I said, I'm in touch with Hay House. I'm finishing my chakra deck. And then probably the year after next, we're going to have another bird deck. I have 10 more decks that I've got the starter, like they're starters. I've put them in, what is it, like making yogurt? I have the Petri dishes going for them already. So I have been looking at that. So let's see what else people have said. Trying to break old negative thinking served me well for a long time, no longer want. Trying to quit smoking. What animal would be very helpful for you? Okay, so that's actually great, Tracy. I'm going to choose a card for everybody that's in a kind of an addictive cycle. Okay, so let's say you're trying to quit smoking and you can't. Let's say you're trying to quit sugar and you can't. Let's say you're trying to quit the man and you can't. Let's say you're at a place with, you want to make new growth, but you're scared. So that familiar pull that happens to everybody, like when you up level, there's a new devil, but the new devil is actually the same one from before all the time. So what would a card be for you, Tracy? That would be the same for everybody. So that's how we teach through the one person for everyone. So whoever is struggling with this, like Tracy is, I'm going to choose the card now and see how this resonates with you guys. And I'd love to hear from you in the chat if that still resonated with you. So I'm going to choose. Now, how do we choose? We choose with the law of synchronicity. So whenever we work with an oracle, we immediately ask, two things happen. One, we create with the language of the deck. That's what we have to work with. So spirit or the universe is going to speak to us through these spirit animals but they have their own unique personalities as well too, and can come to us in dreams. We'll see them in the outer world in nature sometimes. So we have that connection in a very different way than we do with other oracles. Like I'm not going to see a goddess wandering around at the mall, but you might see a sparrow land beside you at the, you know what I mean, or a dragonfly. So here we go. Oh, this is funny. So squirrel spirit is, Mark, card number 57. Squirrel spirit is all about believing in yourself. So let me tell you the story about squirrels. This is very good because typically when we want to make a change, we get scared because we don't know what's on the other side. But the truth is, every time that we feel an impulse to change, when we feel it, like we have a sense that we want to change something, because if you smoke and you don't want to quit smoking, there's lots of people I know don't want to quit. So it's like, well, I don't want to quit. When you do, why? Is it because you don't feel good, or is it because you know it's not in alignment with the new self, right? So what has happened up to the point when you want to quit smoking? Well, you've been planting seeds, the little acorns that you've been scattering everywhere. A lot of squirrels don't remember where they put the acorns. So this is a symbol of trusting in your ability to do it, but also in the fact that you've laid the foundation already to do this, and you've already got an abundant environment. Everything you need is there because you have placed it there already up to this point. You already know why. You already see how. And then it's just trusting your connection to spirit, because when you trust in yourself, it's not just in the small self, you're trusting in the self that is the representation of the greater conscious universe. That self is the one that knows how to do this. That self, represented through the squirrel spirit, says, oh yeah, oh wow, I hid these on myself. You ever found like money that you hid underneath something and we're in a book and you take out the book and all of a sudden there's like $100 in there? Same sort of thing. You're going to get these surprises because they've been waiting for you to find them. And that is, you're going to find your why. You're going to see the how. It's going to be given to you because it's there already. So I hope that made sense. Let's see what everybody says about that. Let me look at the, okay. You might see a goddess wandering at the mall. Yes, that's true, Shelley. Thank you. Oh, there's a person. Somebody else is coming up. I see somebody. Kimberly's coming. All right. So Miranda asked a really good question. Is it better to work with one animal when going through a challenge or pull an animal card daily? Yeah, sometimes I like to pull 2 cards or 1 card. I like the less is more, you guys, because remember, it's like, how beautiful is it when one specific, hey, Kimberly, yahoo, make sure you open up your microphone, honey. Turn on your mic.
And the little camera, both top left corner.
Top left corner is her camera.
Can you hear me now?
We sure can. All righty, darling.
I can't believe you picked me.
Isn't that cool?
You read my sister live about a month ago, which
I did?
I have to thank you.
Aww.
I own every one of your decks, Colette. You are my hero.
Aw. That makes me, well, you know what, without, aw.
Where's she from?
I am
Where
a
you
tarot
from?
reader and astrologer, and I
Perfect.
use your decks every single week in my business. So
Well, that makes me
thank
so
you.
happy. Oh.
Everybody loves them.
Oh, I love it. So, you can add the spirit animal. You know what's always fun too is to be able to call on a spirit animal before the reading on behalf of the person. That you already do. Okay, there you go. All right, so let's pull. When is your birthday?
June 4th.
All right, little Gemini. So we're starting in December, so it's December 2nd. So for the next 6 months, let's choose your affinity card. So what animal is guiding you over the next 6 months? Now remember, we do the 1 card. It's more of a general, this animal is choosing you to help and guide, and you can connect with that animal and everything about that animal for the next 6 months. And then we'll figure out what your lesson is. Now, when I say lesson, it doesn't mean it means education. It means learning. It doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to teach you a lesson, right? So, okay. So may I?
Yes, yes.
All right, here we go.
I can't believe this. I'm so excited.
Okay, so Rabbit Spirit has come up for you as your affinity card. Rabbit, that's card number 49. So let's talk about Rabbit Spirit. So there are two traditions the way we work with rabbit spirit. And it was very funny because my Scottish nanny told me about rabbit as representing the ability to move away from fear. My dad taught me that rabbit spirit was about abundance and fertility and luck, right? So the two really kind of go together. And if you look at ancient Greek mythology and some of the other myths that are common, indigenous myths, they both fit. So I'm going to talk to you about this. Your affinity is that two things: not to be afraid to expand your business, okay, and to grow into a new arena that you're moving into, possibly writing. It's like, this is you're very fertile with ideas right now. That's what the affinity card is saying. Lots of stuff happening, and it's fortunate. So you're going to have a lot of bunnies. Okay. And not to be afraid that, because sometimes when you get more visible, and I know it happens to me just because I take everything so personally, you get visible, it gets kind of wonky sometimes, right? So you feel like, because a bright light attracts a lot of bugs. That's just the way it is. So,
oh gosh, yes.
and also a lot of responsibility, because we have to do our work, and sometimes we get confronted with our work that needs to keep going. So there's that. So does that make sense for your affinity card?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, what lesson does that bring you, right? So these next 6 months, what's the core lesson? Now, as an astrologer, this is going to be fun because I love mixing and matching the cards. I know I'm doing a course next year with Deborah Silverman called Stars and Cards, about using the progressive moon and oracles, right, together. You'll love that course. Okay, so this is cool. So I'm actually choosing 2 for you. For this one, because it came out kind of like a jumper, sort of, but not really. The cards came together. So owls, and I left the other one in, but I decided to take it out. So I'm going to give you 3 cards. So Bobcat spirit is trusting in the mystery, right? Yes. So the lesson is to trust the invisible, right? Which you know anyway because you do readings, etc. But it really also means that, with all the fortune that comes with rabbit spirit, the second card tells you, okay, this is your lesson. You just got to trust, and you can't figure this one out, girl. You got to just wait and see what shows up for you, right? That's that. Now, the second card that kind of stuck to it, and I was sort of like, should I pull that? Should I not? It wasn't really a jumper card. I was sort of like a hit and miss of which one I was going to pick. It's owl spirit, about clarity of vision.
I love the owl. It's one of my favorite totems.
Well, that's probably why it wanted to come out, because I was like, do I pick you? And it's like, yes. So that's the thing too, is never to be rigid. So does that make sense then about these 2 cards, how they work together from today on?
Yes.
Okay, good. So as you know, because you are a professional, what I would suggest, even if you weren't one, is that you work with these three spirit animals over 6 months. Now, what does that mean? You could create a meditation ritual. You could create an altar: rabbit, bobcat, and owl. Make sure that bobcat doesn't eat the rabbit, or the owl doesn't eat the rabbit. Kidding. Let's not go there. So you want to do something different with the cards. Maybe put them on your altar. Well, or if you have 2 card decks, you can, but you want to work with your cards. So you want to look at these things and maybe write about them. Like, how do you deal with a fertile time? What comes up for you in a time? Like, are you scared of fertility? Do you work with it? Do you get distracted? Because rabbits can jump all over the place. We don't know.
I get distracted.
All right. So how do you manage your distractions? And then the other way that you guys can work with Bobcat spirit, or you can work with Bobcat spirit because it's you personally, is about asking yourself, how do I trust the mystery? When do I resist it? And then just pay attention, because it's really about us monitoring ourselves on a 24-hour basis. Just like the self-monitoring.
Yes.
And now here's the interesting thing. So I believe owl spirit is one of the totems of clairvoyance too. So those people who have that gift of sight, and also to see into the future, and also to see through bullshit. So is the owl.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's really key, because it's a bird of truth. And that's one of the reasons why the white snowy owl is is the totem for Oracle School. It's because it is about wisdom and being able to see in the dark, right? And so I think you have fantastic 3 cards, 3 spirit animals that will help you in the next 6 months.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to say it's funny that you say about placing them on my altar, because when I choose the cards for the week for the collective,
Right.
I place them on my altar.
Perfect.
And they sit out for the entire week for me and for the collective. So you must have picked up on that.
Perfect. So let me give you another way to work with this. And again, all you guys can understand and learn from what I'm teaching to Kimberly. So let's say you all pick an affinity card. So that affinity card goes from today to your birthday, and you don't change it. You don't pick another one if you don't like it. You're going to pick that card. You're going to stick to it. So remember that card picked you. That animal spirit, that spirit animal chose you for these X amount of time. So then, say on the new moon, let's say your affinity card was rabbit, right? So your affinity card was rabbit. So on a new moon, you already know your affinity card. You know your lesson for the time period. So during the 6 months on a new moon, your first new moon, I think, is coming up soon, right? Is the new moon is in Capricorn.
December 7th.
Oh,
the new moon is in Sagittarius. It's on
right?
December 7th.
December 7th.
Yep.
So the new moon on December 7th in Sagittarius, which we know is philosophy and travel, and there's a friendly quality to it. I think that's why the holidays are so fun, because it's a party. Sag is a party. So on that new moon, you're going to set an intention, right? And that intention goes over 2 weeks, right? So you go from the 7th, 7 and 14 is how many? 21. So till the 21st, which is when the full moon is, right? So you're going to let's pick one. Let's just pick one in advance to teach for you, okay?
Okay.
So life is speeding up. Interesting that it's an antelope.
That's number 2.
Antelope. Ooh.
That's number 2. So what is the Sagittarius animal? I can't remember.
It's a centaur.
It's a centaur. So it's almost like,
which is fire, and it kind of reminds me of that antelope.
Right? Exactly.
Yes.
So it's about movement. Fire is movement. It's a spirituality, etc. It's speeding up. So on the new moon, you want to take that affinity card, your like what it represents to you for the next 6 months is your, all these little bunnies that you have of ideas and things like that. You don't want to get distracted. So since antelope is igniting itself for your intentions, I would say between now and then, you get rid of your distractions and set your intention for the 7th and recognize that things are going to speed up at that point. So between now and then, I would say to myself, okay, what do I need to do to clear up stuff, given that we just came out of that full moon cycle, right? So we're clearing out that because we only have 5 more days left of the waning moon. So you see how many different ways you can play with Spirit Animal Oracle. You can really work with it in so many different ways that can be so personal to you. There you go. Now I would do it again.
Yes.
This was just for me teaching you guys through you, but do it again on the actual new moon. Don't use the antelope. I mean, you can, but choose another one. Okay. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I just appreciate it more than you'll ever know. Thank you for this gift.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Mark, so I'm going to eject you. Eject presenter.
Okay, so I did send an email to Tracy, Tracey, at GaiaMedia3.com.
Tracy at GaiaMedia3.com.
Check her email.
Check your email. You'll be my last one today. But don't hang up, you guys. There's 1,100 of you. And I want to encourage you to stay because I'm teaching through this. And let's go back to until we find out if somebody can actually figure out how to get on here. I'm going to check out some of the comments. Can you ask a time-specific question? Okay. So Jerry, no. And here's why. Timing is the least accurate element of readings. Absolutely. It's so hard to predict time because we're always evolving and there's so many things that end up changing. So Andrea, you asked about, it's all here. It's going to tell you what to do on the full moon, and it tells you what to do on the new moon. If you download the PDF, everything you need to know is on the PDF, okay?
I'll put it up again.
Trish has tried but can't get on. Shelly said, Pat messaged me to ask me to tell you Trish has tried but can't get on. That's okay. You got your reading, Trish. Okay, so let me read you this little piece here. So you want to call in a special guide. So you want to connect to that guide. So like Kimberly needs to connect to that sense of rabbit spirit. So you can really, really work with the power of the cards. So Renee, I'm going to, you just pulled 3 cards, Starfish Spirit, Rabbit Spirit, and Turtle Spirit. But they can't tell me what they mean until I know what your question was. So if you just pick 3 cards willy-nilly, it's not going to be the same. Although Starfish Spirit, as you know, it means being open to everything. Rabbits, oh, this is very good. Starfish Spirit is about infinite possibilities. Rabbit Spirit is that it's a fertile time, and Turtle Spirit is go slow and don't expect things to go so fast, right? So that's it. You just want to go really quickly. That's Starfish. I love Starfish. So here it says here on this, so challenging circumstances. Now, sometimes you already know you have an affinity to an animal. I have an affinity to ravens. In this deck, because I just finished Mystical Shaman with Alberto Bilaldo, I decided to use White Raven Spirit in this deck. So, you know, there's a sense, oh, Renee, that's perfect. That means your life path leading to next year for 2019 is a medium. That's awesome. It's like a shoo-in. You just have to, the Turtle Spirit is they don't go so fast. Pig Spirit and Rhino Spirit for your year. So Pig Spirit is right use of intellect, and the Rhino Spirit is boundaries. It's like it can move past any obstacle. Okay, so spirit animals here. Let me talk about the last little bit here. So and then I think my husband is tired. He wasn't planning on being here for an hour and a half today. So okay, so it says here last, be aware of the tendency to be rigid about the literal aspect of the guidebook. Sometimes only one sentence will fit. Allow a more fluid dialogue to arise. And this is one thing that I really push in my Oracle school, for those of you who aren't my students and you're just coming today, is like we can get so caught up in what the actual thing says, the guidebook says, but only one sentence really resonates at the heart level. Go with that. And if it still doesn't resonate, choose a clarification card, which is the second card. But typically it will once you give it some time. Do get to know the animals in the deck. So this deck, if I could, but I don't have, I'd have to clone myself 4 times over. I would love to do a meditation album with every single animal in the deck. My husband just about fell off his chair. I know, promise I won't. Of course, we would love that. Pick the cards that are your affinity cards, and even create your own. You know, write out the meditation and visualize it, and just kind of let yourself sink into it and feel that animal and call that animal to you. And you'll really get a lot out of it in meditation. Do meditate on the gift the animal represents. So that's why I always say, read the card upright when it's an affinity, but when it's a lesson, you want to read it both upright and in protection if it shows up in protection, because it's telling you the specific type of lesson, right? So if whoever can jump on next, answer a question. So Janine, why don't you ask a question? I don't think I can have you on because we don't seem to be able to get anybody else on video. So Janine, why don't you pose a question, and I'm going to show you how to answer a question posed to the cards, okay? So why don't you give me a question in the chat? The power of that card is more intense if it's upside down. No. The power means that it's trying to get you back into alignment. And you guys are going to notice that in my Goddess deck, my upside down cards are alignment messages. So you're in alignment or you're out of alignment, right? So how to get back into alignment. So that's what the protection position means when they're upside down. So Janine, where is your question? Janine. Oh, invite as presenter. How do I get her on? Chakra coach. Fantastic. Let's see if I can get her on here. That would be fun.
Oh.
I just invited Janine.
Okay.
Let's see if it worked. Return as attendee. So I invited
Janine, her question is, what is the best energy to use for my creative project?
Perfect. Okay, great. So now this is how you answer a question. What is the best energy? Bye, Leslie. Thanks for coming to use for my creative project. Thanks, Janine. So again, you just you feel the deck, right? You feel the deck. What's the best energy? Okay, so I'm feeling it up here. I'm getting itchy. Sometimes my fingers go itchy. That's how I know which coyote spirit. So your creative project is going to change. So coyote spirit reminds you that there's divine detours.
What number is that again?
Number 16. So Janine, if you get coyote spirit as an answer to what is the best energy to use, allow your project to change if it wants to. It might send you on a detour. It might show you something, a different form of itself that it wants to show up. So allow it to be alive and to take you where it wants to go, and not to be rigid on how it wants to be or how you want it to be. Does that make sense to you, Janine? So that's just with one card. Now let's pretend you don't know 100% what it means. Let's get a clarification card on this, okay? So that's how you would do it. So let's pick a second card for clarification. For this particular question, what energy do I need to align myself with for my creative project? Oh, so look at this, let it shine. So the clarification is allow for the creative change. That's number 46, Mark. Allow for the creative change, but let it shine. In other words, this is something you're going to bring to the world. So the clarification is, if you want this to shine, right? So allow the detour, allow this detour to happen, and then allow this energy to come with it. Like bring it to the world with all your integrity, with all your authenticity, with all your creative zest, allowing it to be what it will. And what I also love about the coyote spirit is that it may take a detour in terms of how it lands with people. Like you might think, oh, here's an example. A friend of mine offered, I'm not going to tell you who it is because her book's coming out, but I will tell you who it is in a year, offered her book up, and it went up to auction. And I was like, apparently years ago, I predicted, when I used to do predictive readings, that it wouldn't end up at Hay House. And this was like years ago when I did my book, The Map, and I was still doing those kind of readings. And it turned out she just signed a huge deal with another company. And she wrote me to tell me, like, years ago, you predicted this for me and you told me where it wouldn't be, but that's where I thought it would be. And that was the thing, is that we forgot what was said. And so it was just so cool to see how that operated. So that was a detour. That was a coyote spirit to say she wanted to go there, but it actually went what I had predicted, which was, and I don't even know why I had to tell you I predicted that, but I was really impressed with myself. So Janine, will you reply to me? Oh, bring to the world, easier to follow the detour. There you go, right? There you go. All right. So guys, it is 4:30, and I love you all so much. This was my gift to you. For those of you who have not got the spirit animal deck, go to my website, and if you want to play with it a little bit to see if you can download it on iTunes and on Google Play. No, they don't have it on Google Play yet.
Yeah.
Do they? I don't know.
No,
Hay House hasn't got it yet on Google Play, but it's on iTunes. Do I have to go? Okay, Mark, say goodbye to people.
This was me. I'm the guy that was hanging out in the background.
When you're done, just turn these two guys off.
Two guys off. Okay. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Shelly. I know, it was cool, right? So you guys play with Spirit Animal Oracle. Know that this is a divine.
In their sidebar.
In your sidebar.
They can go to the Spirit Animal page where they can actually use the deck if they don't already own it.
Okay. Did they hear you say that?
I hope so.
Okay.
I think they did.
There you go. Mahalo, Connie. Excellent. Well, Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy everything else. This is so refreshing, and I'm so glad I could give you this today. And everybody that signed up, you're going to get a recording of this, which is very cool, and you can watch it again and again, and you'll learn a lot more about how to work with Spirit Animal. Happy holidays, everybody. I love you all. And you'll get a little video of my new puppy next weekend. Mwah! And come on my cruise in April, and I'm doing a cruise. It should be so much fun. Bye. Do I hang up?
No.
No. This one.